I'd like to be able to just focus on things naturally, but I can't, and the medication helps me do the things that I need to do in my life so I can focus on the things that I want to do.
Middle school, I was kind of afraid to talk to anybody about my mental illnesses there for a long, long time. There was a few people I told about it and they didn't really react as well as I hoped they would.
My friends are pretty cool people. You know, I can dress like this around them and they're just like, hey, that's really cool, where'd you get that, you know?
The first person that I got really, really deep into was my very, very good friend Harrison. I was in a relationship with him at the time and I want to explain to him what I've truly been to, because like most people I meet, I say, you know, I have these disorders, so please excuse me if mid-sentence I go, ooh, butterfly. But I really got into deep conversation with him and he was like, oh, I understand.
I have a friend who has anxiety disorder and sometimes she won't be able to go to school because she's so afraid of leaving the house. And people can't really understand why that is.
One day I ran out of my 10X, which is my Tourette's pill, and my shoulders were going like this, like all the time, and I was coughing, and this girl was like, she was like, why are you doing that? I was like, doing what? She was like, that. And I was like, it's Tourette's, and she was like, Tourette's, whatever. And it was, oh man, I just bawled that day. And I know that if people don't understand ADD, you know, Tourette's, everything, they won't know what to think of it.
When I was younger, I did receive some conflict, you know, with other people just saying, oh, you take medication or something like that. I take several different types of medications, even today I do, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I mean, yeah, some people look at you a little bit, some people, if you don't explain yourself maybe all the way, may look at you a little bit differently, but that's them. I mean, don't worry about it.
Some of the other people were not as accepting as my friends are, which is hard because, you know, everyone likes to be accepted and to feel like their peers like them.
You know, you see kids with, you know, have Down syndrome, you know, or something like that, and, you know, you don't make fun of them, you know, because you feel really bad. Why won't you do that for kids that aren't as noticeable? No
matter who you are, if you don't have mental illness or if you do, people always think about you different ways. I just say, roll with the punches, do what you gotta do. And if somebody doesn't like you for whatever reason, that's them, that's not you. You can't change anybody else but yourself.
Friends are really important. And it's just important to be there if, you know, the person ever needs them. And to be open and willing to talk about whatever they need to talk about.
As a goal of mine would just be to make a difference, you know, for other youth and people that like me that have had issues.
I want to be an advocate for kids with ADD and Tourette's, so I can make awareness and hopefully just change the world.
Emily, Eric, and Hope are real success stories. Like people who work out at a gym to improve their physical health, every day they do something positive for their mental health, and it shows. So we've heard from a doctor and from kids who live full lives despite having a mental illness. Now we're going to hear from you. This 8th grade health class at Meridian Middle School is discussing mental illness. Let's listen in and hear what the students have to say.
How many of you guys know someone with a mental illness, whether it's ADHD, ADD, depression? Lots. Yeah.
One of my siblings has ADD, and sometimes she can, if she isn't taking her medication, sometimes she can be a little off, and some people think she's weird, but we still love her.
My cousin has OCD, and so if you walk into a room, everything has a particular order. And if you knock something over, move something ever so slightly, she'll freak out. She'll start yelling and she'll know exactly where everything is.
Right.
I have a best friend. When I first met her, she has ADHD. And when I first met her, I thought she was one of the weirdest girls I'd ever met because she didn't take medicine or anything. She wasn't diagnosed yet. and when she got really, really, really hyper, she had to run around in circles to try to calm down a little bit, and she didn't get good grades or anything. And before I became a friend, or before I found out she had ADHD, I always thought she was just really, really strange. And then she finally got diagnosed, and she got a medicine, and now she just has a lot better control.
And what do you think about it now, knowing more?
I felt really bad for how I treated her, because I wasn't very nice to her when I didn't know that she had ADHD, and made me feel really guilty.
Good point.
I have ADHD, and usually when I'm off my medication, I'm really hyper and I can't pay attention to anything.
Yeah. So, your impression of mental illness before we kind of got started, what was your impression about? Hey.
I just thought they were a bunch of brats.
Okay, so.
I was annoyed with them because I thought that they could control it,
okay.
And then they didn't, and so it was kind of annoying.
What do you think that you can do, or that we can do kind of as a group, to eliminate some of the stereotypes that go along with ADD and ADHD, or someone with a mental illness?
Well, you could have people that have like the actual diseases talk to other people about what they have and tell them that really it's not their fault that they have it and they can't control it. That they either have to go through therapy or take meds to get it under control.
You can just simply try to learn more about it, because then once you can identify with it, you have a little bit more sympathy for the people who have to go through it.
I know that when I watched that movie of the people with mental illnesses that had specific personal stories about it, I was much more sympathetic of people like that, because I knew how much they went through and how they couldn't control it.
Yeah.
In my 8th period class, my sister's always laughing when the kids next door will start screaming and stuff. And I'll always be like, why are you laughing at them? How would you like if someone was laughing at you if you had an issue? It's not fair for them.
I would just treat them as a normal person like everybody else and be nice to them and just not think of them as having a mental illness, just like being everyone else.
Like, I would kind of look at it as if how I would feel if someone was making fun of me because of my mental illness, so I'll treat them the way I would want to be treated.
Don't judge them just because they seem different. Like, if you have someone with a mental illness in your class, you should just accept them from who they are and try to get to know them.